Good morning. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. I want to talk to you about the livingness there is in being yourself. This is from the chapter Yourself in the book The Hidden Power by Thomas Troward. Bob Proctor used to read this little chapter frequently and talk to the Proctor Gallagher consultants, which I am one. And he would say this to all of us, and in many of the seminars he taught. I want to talk to you about the livingness there is in being yourself. It has at least the merit of simplicity, for it must surely be easier to be oneself than to be something or somebody else. Yet that is what so many are constantly trying to do. The self that is their own is not good enough for them. And so they're always trying to go one better than what God has made them, with endless strain and struggle as the consequence. Of course, they are right to put before them an ideal infinitely grander than anything they have yet attained. The only possible way of progress is by following an ideal that is always a stage ahead of us. But the mistake is in not seeing that its attainment is a matter of growth. And that growth must be the expansion of something that already exists in us, and therefore implies our being what we are and where we are as its starting point. This growth is a continuous process, and we cannot do next month's growth without first doing this month's. But we're always wanting to jump into some ideal of the future, not seeing that we can reach it only by steadily going on from where we are now. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're in the depths of despair, the bottom of the bottom, wondering how you're ever going to go on, or if you're at the top of your game, everything is working out and you're thinking life is fantastic, you've reached the pinnacle of success. No matter where you are on the scale of livingness, you're going to want more. We get bored. We look to see what else is there. That's not greed. That is the spirit in you wanting to experience more life, to express more, to do more, to be more. You have a spiritual side of you. You're living in a physical body, and you've been gifted with an intellect. So wanting more, it's not a sin. There's nothing wrong with wanting more. It's the only thing is you want more for everyone, not only for yourself. So wherever you're starting from, that's simply today's starting point. And you can start over every day. Today is a beautiful new day. It can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be a replay of yesterday or last year. Decide, set an intention this morning. What would you have today be? What would an ideal day look like if you could be or do or have anything, and you're growing and changing and becoming that version of you that is a better version? What would it be like if you attained a goal that you set that is beyond what you ever imagined? So Thomas Troward says, we're always wanting to jump into some ideal of the future, not seeing that we can reach it only by steadily going on from where we are now. Troward writes, these considerations should make us more confident and more comfortable. We are employing a force which is much greater than we believe ourselves to be, yet it is not separate from us and needing to be persuaded or compelled or inveigled into doing what we want. It is the substratum of our own being, which is continually passing up into manifestation on the visible plane and becoming that personal self to which we often limit our attention without considering whence it proceeds. But in truth, the outer self is the surface growth of that individuality which lies concealed far down in the deeps below, and which is none other than the spirit of life which underlies all forms of manifestation. Endeavor to realize what this spirit must be in itself, that is to say, apart from any of the conditions that arise from the various relations which necessarily establish themselves between its various forms of individualization. In its homogeneous self, what else can it be but pure life, essence of like, if you like so to call it? Then realize that as essence of life, it exists in the innermost of every one of its forms of manifestation in as perfect simplicity as we can attribute to it in our most abstract conceptions. In this light, we see it to be the eternally self-generating power, which to express itself flows into form. This universal essence of life is a continual becoming into form. And since we are a part of nature, we do not need to go further than ourselves to find the life-giving energy at work with all its powers. Hence, all we have to do is allow it to rise to the surface. We do not have to make it rise any more than the engineer who sinks the bore pipe for an artesian well has to make the water rise in it. You don't have to make it happen. The water does that by its own energy, springing as a fountain 100 feet into the air. Just so, we shall find a fountain of essence of life ready to spring up in ourselves, inexhaustible, and continually increasing in its flow, as one taught long ago to a woman at a wayside well. If you read the Bible, you can read the story of Christ talking to the woman at the well, and they were of two different religious backgrounds, two different cultures, and they were in those days not supposed to be at the well at the same time, and yet she followed him after her encounter. So if you are a religious person, I encourage you to read the Bible and read the story of Christ meeting the woman at the wayside well. Troward writes, this upspringing of life essence is not another's, it is our own. It does not require deep studies. It does not require hard labors, weary journeyings to attain it. It is not the monopoly of this teacher or that writer whose lectures we must attend or whose books we must read to get it. It is the innermost of ourselves. And a little common sense thought as to how anything comes to be anything will soon convince us that the great, inexhaustible life must be the very root and substance of us, permeating every fiber of our being. It's interesting that Troward writes, It's not the monopoly of this teacher or that writer. Bob Proctor would always say that his teachings are deep studies from various different writings. He studied Napoleon Hill and Thomas Troward. He was a student of Earl Nightingale, and he had a few different mentors. I love his teachings, and he's written books, and I facilitate his thinking into results process, which is a step by step of how you can attain whatever beautiful goal that you desire. So in The Hidden Power, Thomas Troward goes on to write, surely to be this vast infinitude of living power must be enough to satisfy all our desires, and yet this wonderful ideal is nothing else but what we already are in principio. It is all there in ourselves now, only awaiting our recognition for its manifestation. It is not the essence of life which has to grow, for that is eternally perfect in itself. It is our recognition of it that has to grow. And this growth cannot be forced. It must come by a natural process, the first necessity of which is to abstain from all straining after being something which at the present time we cannot naturally be. The law of our evolution has put us in possession of certain powers and opportunities, and our further development depends on our doing just what these powers and opportunities make it possible for us to do here and now. If we do what we're able to do today, it will open the way for us to do something better tomorrow. And in this manner, the growing process will proceed healthily and happily in a rapidly increasing ratio. So as you study, as you go deeper, as you decide what you want to be or do or have, and take steps every day in that direction, it is a natural progression of growth. So you can't jump to some future, that's what I'm going to be someday. But as you spend time thinking about what you want, thinking about how you would be feeling, but not intellectually thinking about it, actually getting into that state of being there already, feeling as if you already are the person that has your goal. If you're thinking someday I'm going to do that, someday I'm going to be there, it takes believing that it's possible and getting into that state of being, thinking from the end goal, acting as if you're already there in your own mind. If you already had a beautiful goal that you want more than anything, what would that do to you? What would that feel like? How would your life be? And then every day, do something, and then the momentum picks up. It happens step by step, moment by moment. So one day you don't even realize you're already living that. So Troward says, this is so much easier than striving to compel things to be what they are not. And it is also so much more fruitful in good results. It is not sitting still doing nothing, and there's plenty of room for the exercise of all our mental facilities. But these facilities are themselves the outcome of the essence of life and are not the creating power, but only that which gives direction to it. So which direction are you moving in? Toward a beautiful goal that you want to attain, or looking backwards and deciding why you're comfortable? If you're talking about what you don't want, you end up picking up momentum in the wrong direction. Now, it is this moving power at the back of the various facilities that is the true innermost self. And if we realize the identity between the innermost and the outermost, we shall see that we therefore have at our present disposal all that is necessary for our unlimited development in the future. Troward writes, thus our livingness consists simply in being ourselves, only more so, and in recognizing this, we get rid of a great burden of unnecessary straining and striving, and the place of the old strum and drang will be taken not by inertia, but by a joyous activity which knows that it always has the requisite power to manifest itself in forms of good and beauty. What matters it whither this leads us? If we are following the line of the beautiful and good, then we shall produce the beautiful and good, and thus bring increasing joy into the world, whatever particular form it may assume. So what form brings you joy? What makes you feel joyful? Get into that state of being. Look in that direction and don't worry about the past. Don't worry about how. Just put yourself into a state of being joyful more often, and your life will pick up momentum and the growth will naturally occur, and you will become a joyful person. And you'll wonder, whatever happened to you? People will notice. Troward says we limit ourselves when we try to fix accurately beforehand the particular form of good that we shall produce. We should aim not so much at having or making some particular thing as at expressing all that we are. The expressing will grow out of realizing the treasures that are ours already and contemplating the beauty, the affirmative side of all that we are now, apart from the negative conceptions and detractions which veil this positive view from us. When you're looking at the negative, it blocks the positive. Troward says, when we do this, we shall be astonished to see what possibilities reside in ourselves as we are, and with our present surroundings, all unlovely as we may deem them, and commencing to work at once upon whatever we find of affirmative in these. So looking for the good in everything and withdrawing our thought from what we have hitherto seen of negative in them, the right road will open up before us, leading us in wonderful ways to the development of powers that we never suspected and the enjoyment of happiness that we never anticipated. We have never been out of our right path, only we've been walking in it backwards instead of forwards. And now that we have begun to follow the path in the right direction, we find that it is none other than the way of peace, the path of joy, and the road to eternal life. These things we may attain by simply living naturally with ourselves. It is because we are trying to be or do something which is not natural to us that we experience weariness and labor, which we should find all our activities joyously concentrated on objects which lead to their own accomplishment by the force of the love that we have for them. So, not forcing, but forcing the love we have for them. When we make the grand discovery of how to live naturally, we shall find it to be all and more than all that we have ever desired. And our daily life will become a perpetual joy to ourselves, and we shall radiate light and life wherever we go. Doesn't it feel wonderful to be in the company of a person who you can just feel they are radiating light and life? You're attracted to a person who is radiating light and life. They're feeling joyful. They're not dreading life. They're not looking at excuses. They're radiating light and life. If you imagine yourself filled with infinite power, infinite potential, then when you're filled with light and life, that radiates from you, and you automatically, naturally become a magnetic power for attracting more good in everything, more light, more life, more of every good that you desire. And the more you radiate light and life, joy, happiness, you become a nicer, better, more loving, joyful person. And that attracts to you more of every good. We naturally attract what we are in harmony with. Whatever you desire, desires you. So as you become more aligned with what you want, more in alignment with light and love and joy and happiness, those things naturally become part of you. They just flow. Decide how you want this day to go. And as you pray, as you study, as you fill yourself up with good and light and love, and become a more radiant being, notice how easily life moves along, how you overcome challenges, how your mind is clear to handle whatever challenges and struggles come your way. As you become a radiant being, it doesn't make all the bad go away. You're still going to encounter challenging people and circumstances, but it's easier to overcome them. It's some challenges you don't even notice. You just keep going through because you realize dwelling on the negative is not helpful. It just manifests more negativity. Decide as you're going through your day, notice when you're starting to let life overwhelm you. Notice when you're not feeling good. And then you can ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What am I thinking? And change direction. Turn down the momentum in the negative, in the not feeling great, and move back into a more positive feeling, a more joyful, light feeling. And the happier you are, the healthier you become. And the healthier you are, the more easily you sail through life. Take a deep breath in and let that go. Remind yourself there is a hidden power within you, and being yourself is the greatest gift. Just work on being the best version of you. And every day, being thankful, being grateful, looking for the good in everything, and every day allowing yourself to grow a little more. Imagine where your life would be if you just got 1% better every day. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. Create a wonderful day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7. Thank you.